Okay, we're live. Gonna give it a second just for people to get used to what's happening here. I am the real underscore G Warner on Twitter. Um, gonna try a new way to try to get people to actually go to the YouTube site for these videos, as that seems to be more difficult now that Periscope has been killed. Really sad story, but Twitter just likes to buy products and then kill it. Okay, so going to go through each of the top 5 European soccer leagues. I made lines tonight, but going through is my first time looking at them per usual, and reacting to them as I see them, and then hopefully we can find some winners this weekend. Starting in the biggest money league, starting in the English Premier League. Yes, there were Friday games today, but didn't get to do this video last night, so we're working on Saturday and Sunday. Starting with Manchester City, they're a 1.5 goal favorite to Leeds. Had to play midweek against Borussia Dortmund. Kind of escaped with a 1-goal victory, 2-1, after it looked like they had set up shop and we're going to kind of sit on a 1-0 lead. Now they play Leeds, who are going to try to attack the whole match. This first meeting I think was pretty competitive, and probably should be, because Man City is pretty much locked up the Premier League and is playing their best players, best lineups in Champions League. So might see some rotation in this match. And Leeds, unfortunately, the problem with Leeds is that they're going to push forward the whole day, and that's going to leave their defense exposed. And Man City has a bevy of attackers who can take advantage of Leeds, leaving their back line open. So I'm not sure that any number that I'd want to back Leeds here. Maybe if this 1.5 jumped to 2, that would be interesting. But even then, like Man City 3-0 leads, it's not, or 3-0 wins. It's not exactly what's been happening this season, but we know that they have those in their locker. So probably nothing for me there. Next match is Liverpool hosting Aston Villa, giving a goal, and it looks like most of the juice on Liverpool's side, so it might climb to 1.25. Villa came from what looked like they were dead in this past weekend against Fulham, down 1-0, had no real offense to speak of for the entire match, really. And then scored 3 goals, 2 that were decent and 1 in garbage time. But incredible turnaround. And I think there's still major questions about their offense, especially without Jack Grealish. I'm not sure that he's back. And even if he does return for this match, hard to believe that he'll do too much. Liverpool with a pretty poor performance midweek against Real Madrid. Market thought that they would pretty much go to Madrid and win, lost 3-1. Market was also wrong on them, as everyone was betting Arsenal, it seemed, right before kickoff last weekend, which Liverpool won 3-0 and won handily. Liverpool's offense is still a disaster, in my opinion. I think their defense is weaker, though they certainly show that they can press, and that press is still there. They just haven't been using it as much this year, I think, because of their flaws in the back. And I think Jurgen Klopp has been conservative in that way, and that's really affected their performance and their front line's inability to score. They would have a lot more chances and much easier ones if they did press, but they're not doing that. Not sure I want to do too much here, as I'm not sure Villa can score. Liverpool also certainly could get shut out themselves, but I think they're fairly likely to score 1, and I'm not really sure where Aston Villa's goals are coming. I guess if there's anything in under 3, all the juices on that side, but certainly something to look at as you push on 3 goals, and I don't really know how this gets to 2-1. Last match on Saturday is Crystal Palace against Chelsea. Currently looking at Palace getting a full goal at home. Chelsea's defense has looked great, besides last weekend when they got a red card in the 26th or 7th minute. Still pretty inexplicable to see them ship 5 goals against West Brom, but that's ultimately what happened. Probably could have seen out a 1-0 victory, even going down to 10 men, but that, I guess, wasn't going to be the case. And huge win for West Brom, though it might be a little bit too little too late. Anyway, Crystal Palace, they seem to pull out some results that people wouldn't expect, but ultimately when their defense isn't playing well, they give up many goals. And that's a big problem when you're only getting a full goal of insurance. I mean, one goal is a lot in this sport for sure. But I don't really know where Crystal Palace is scoring on Chelsea. And if they give that first goal, the second one is much more likely to come from Chelsea than it is from Crystal Palace. Chelsea did play midweek, had Champions League of their own. But they have a very big, deep squad thanks to all the transactions they made this past summer. So I'm not sure Crystal Palace will make my card either. Next on the list, we go to Burnley hosting Newcastle. Burnley giving a quarter. Kind of incredible. Burnley up 2-0 at Southampton last weekend. Blew that. Not even blew the draw, but also lost the game as well. Not even blew their lead to win, but also blew the draw as they gave up 3 unanswered goals. Pretty incredible, and didn't see that coming, to say the least. Burnley's got issues scoring. Newcastle has even more issues scoring and issues defending, and that's why they're fighting relegation. Plus, they have that pressure, which is a big deal. Burnley's out of that spat. They're, I think, just trying to play for, and I guess we're reaching the point of the season where we're not sure what teams in the middle of the pack have to play for. Currently giving a quarter of a goal. I don't really see much from the Burnley offense, to be truthful. So I think I'm interested in Newcastle, and I hope I don't bet them, because that'll be a brutal, brutal watch. Steve Bruce seems like he's dead man walking, but they won't seem to fire him. And I got to say, though, we at least know Newcastle's fighting for something. There's some rumors that they're getting healthier. Alan Saint-Maximin didn't start last weekend. Maybe Callum Wilson returns. Not sure what to say about that or what we'll see, but that's something to watch for lineups and such on Sunday morning. West Ham then host Leicester. It looks like pretty much a pick'em in London. I think East London it's where West Ham plays at the Olympic Stadium. Leicester really has been up and down and hasn't been playing great lately. West Ham is fighting and trying to chase for a Champions League berth. Both have plenty to play for. And the Leicester offense is, I think, quiet. The thing is that unless West Ham's getting some sort of price, I'm not sure I really want to back them, as their offense is really tough to back as well. So it's pretty much two, I think, okay defenses, and that's where the money's going to be made for these teams in this match. So it probably won't be a great watch, but ultimately whoever's dogged, I'd be interested in. Next, Tottenham host Manchester United. Currently, Tottenham getting a quarter with all the juice on their side. Manchester United played midweek in Europa League, had a good win against Granada. But that's not that impressive. Middling side in La Liga, with La Liga's having all the troubles that they are. Anyway, Tottenham getting a quarter at home is somewhat interesting, and maybe this would have been a play earlier in the year when they're playing better. Incredible that they drew Newcastle last weekend. Collapse, pretty gross start, fell behind, took 2 goals, took a lead, and then conceded late. I don't think Hugo Lloris is playing great. Harry Kane, I think, is playing well. We'll see about Heung-min Son's status. I wonder if this type of price means that he's available, as this one looks like it's falling towards pick'em. Manchester United has had a ton of problems scoring goals, and that is a big problem when you're a favorite on the road. So we'll see what happens. But ultimately, at pick'em, I'm not really sure I'm going to do much here. So we'll see if Tottenham or if some Manchester United money hits and balances Tottenham to more of a reasonably priced quarter goal underdog at home. Last one on Sunday is Sheffield United hosting Arsenal, getting a full goal. Arsenal giving a full goal on the road. All the juice on the Sheffield United side. So it looks like, if anything, it would fall to 3/4. Arsenal played midweek. I feel like a broken record saying this, but the English teams have done well in Europe. They unfortunately didn't hold on to a 1-0 lead. Looked like they were controlling the game, but ultimately were playing a Czech Republic side. Slavia Praha's decent, and I bet them. So I was happy to see that result. But a late concession to get a draw and to give up a crucial away goal is a big problem. And Arsenal should have their eyes focused on the Europa League, because that's the only way to reach Champions League, I think, based on where they sit in the table. They probably still have some aspirations for Europa League qualification within England, but that seems fairly unlikely. Sheffield, though, on the other side, fired their longtime manager, Fan, who brought them into the into the highest level, to the Premier League, and they just look lost, dead, and are certainly getting relegated. So I'm not sure I want to put any of my money on a side like that, who probably should be playing younger players just to get them experience for the fight next year in the championship to get back to the Premier League. But not a lot to say about the organization there in a positive way anyway. Moving on, West Brom on Monday host Southampton, getting a quarter of a goal. Southampton with an incredible comeback against Burnley, who usually is so good at shutting the door and really not allowing goals. That was really impressive and surprising for sure. Southampton defenses and mentality is still pretty flawed, as it's not good enough to defend 1v1 or 3v3 or on counterattacks and such. I'm not sure West Brom has much of an offensive attack or talent. They'll probably want to sit back and try to get you on a counter, which I think would expose Southampton. It certainly makes me interested in catching a quarter at home on West Brom, who certainly have something to play for. Or Southampton's win, I think, this past weekend made them so they're one of those middling sides. They don't really have much to play for the rest of the way. I don't expect Southampton to give up. They still put a pretty good effort in towards the end of the lockdown last year under much different circumstances. But ultimately, I like the home dog getting a quarter, and that's something that I think would be of interest to me at this point. And then lastly, for this week, looks like Brighton host Everton, giving a quarter of a goal at home on Monday night. In the second game. And Brighton, it's the same old story with Brighton. They look great. They have a lot of possession. The commentators are talking about how Graham Potter is like one of the best coaches in the Premier League. And then they concede a goal, blow their lead, and then concede again and lose the match. They're not out of the relegation spat completely, and certainly have some of that pressure coming their way. Very surprised to see Everton getting a quarter, and makes me wonder about player availability for this match. Because Brighton's offense is not that strong. Their defense is not great. They possess the ball a lot and really don't get much from that, unfortunately. So I'm pretty interested in Everton getting a quarter, though they certainly have plenty of flaws themselves. Next one I'll move on to is Spain, into La Liga, which definitely has the biggest match of their season coming up. But anyway, Getafe start off Saturday morning hosting Cadiz, giving a half of a goal, and Getafe can't score. Haven't been able to score all year, besides shots from out of the box, which are very low percentage. Cadiz, with a big win last weekend, look like they're, I think, crawling into safety, though are incredibly low possession team who just let the other team play with the ball for 90 minutes, and they try to escape with a draw or somehow score on one of their counterattacks or one of their few 24% of the game possessions. Pretty incredible where they sit now. And also kind of incredible that they're getting half of a goal from Getafe, who can't score. So Cadiz will probably be on my card tomorrow morning. Athletic Club then give a half of a goal to Alaves. Alaves sitting bottom, need some results to climb up. Really, I've said this a lot, don't like their manager switch, and I'm pretty disappointed in how they've played and kind of how they've changed into a side that's trying to score goals, and they don't have the defense or really manpower to really do anything about that. Athletic Club, though, is built to play defense, and so I'm not sure that's anything I would consider a laying, as I'm not a favorites better. Next is Eibar hosting Levante. Levante getting a quarter from another side that's in relegation trouble. Eibar's offense is completely dried up. Brian Heel was great for a 3-week or month stretch right around the new year, but hasn't really done too much since. They dealt with some goalkeeper issues and injuries, but looks like Dimitrovic is healthy, as he played for Serbia in the internationals, and I think every match that mattered. But ultimately, Levante, they've had a little bit of a lull lately after playing really well and making it to the Copa del Rey semifinal, covering a ton of spreads, all the matches in a row, really. Didn't play well last weekend against Huesca, but have an extra day because they played Friday last week, and catching a quarter from Eibar is something that it will be very hard for me to resist, as I think Levante's got much better attacking talent, and they do have some defensive deficiencies. I think that getting a quarter is a great spot to be, when certainly they're a middling side with not a lot to fight for, but I think they haven't been playing well lately and want to turn that around after playing so well for a long period of time that got them to that nearly to the Copa del Rey final. Last one is Real Madrid and Barcelona in the El Clasico, biggest one. coming up, and I was really hoping to get Barcelona dogged, but clearly that was a ridiculous idea. Real Madrid with a great showing midweek against Liverpool, but that might be more of a condemnation of Liverpool and how they played. Barcelona giving a quarter at, I guess it's not the Bernabeu, but ultimately in Madrid. Giving a quarter is saying something, but Barcelona's been playing a lot better. Real Madrid doesn't really have a ton of attacking options besides Benzema, and their defense, I think, is going to be what's going to set them apart in this match, if anything good comes from them or from their side. But no Ramos, no Varane, that's a big problem. Barcelona's pretty healthy, struggled with Valladolid on Monday, but didn't play midweek and have a huge advantage here, so it makes sense that they're the favorite. And probably not much for me to do with Real Madrid, though normally I'd want to back them as an underdog in this matchup at home. Moving to Sunday, Villarreal giving 3/4 to Osasuna. Big number, especially because Villarreal played midweek and got a fairly soft penalty to win against a lower tier Dinamo Zagreb side from Croatia. Osasuna, they have been up and down defensively, have been playing, I think, better lately. Really struggle to convert their chances. They get some, but they can't ever seem to score them, and that's a big problem, especially if you're not catching a full goal. But almost all the juice on the Villarreal side right now, so it's possible you see Osasuna close +1, and that'd be very interesting to me. Valencia getting half of a goal right now from Real Sociedad at home. All the juice on the Valencia side, so it might fall to a quarter. Big number. Valencia's defense is not good enough for me to back, so I will skip that one. Valladolid giving a quarter of a goal to Granada. Granada played midweek, Europa League. Don't seem to be in the fight for Europa League qualification in La Liga this year, nor in a relegation spat. So they're certainly putting all their eggs in the Europa League basket. It's the furthest I think they've ever gone in the competition. So they might not be looking too hard at this one. Valladolid is trying to get into a more safer position. I don't think they're safe yet, and have deserved much better results than they've been getting. So they probably win this match, but I'm not sure with their defense, with their kind of counterattacking offensive strategy and their kind of lack of really trustworthy offensive options, to lay a quarter of a goal with them, I think is too much for me, even though Granada's defense should be pretty open as it has been all season. Sunday nightcap is Betis hosting Atletico Madrid. Atleti not playing well recently, but I think are still in first, based on a great start to the year and the problems that were going on at Real Madrid with injuries, and Barcelona just really struggling all of basically once the lockdown started to the new year, essentially, of 2021. Betis currently getting a quarter at home, and I think they're playing decent. Their defense was a big issue during the lockdown, post-lockdown, whatever. That's been settled a little bit. Their offense is getting better. Borja Iglesias is finally producing after coming over from Espanyol and really not doing much last year. It's probably part of why they didn't make European competitions, because their defense is so bad they couldn't balance that out with scoring. Nabil Fekir is great. I'm pretty interested in them as a home dog right now. Most of the juice, or almost all of it, is on Betis right now, so this might move down to pick them. But I think there will be some Atleti money that comes in, so I'm very interested in Betis, and we'll see what happens. Though they're likely going to have to win the match to win a full unit, and that's certainly something that I'd be hesitant to go against Atleti, because they certainly are better at keeping the ball out of the net than almost anybody else in the league. And then lastly, Monday Night Football in Spain, Celta de Vigo getting a quarter from Sevilla. Sevilla has not been impressive really since they moved on from the group stages in Champions League. But it's a pretty small number for Celta Vigo, whose defense will likely concede at least one goal in this match. And then so you have to trust Celta de Vigo to score, and probably score first against Sevilla. Sevilla is certainly not as Loctite as they used to be defensively, but ultimately Celta de Vigo, you probably need to have a bunch of goals in your pocket considering how many they concede. So interested in them at home, I guess, getting a quarter of a goal. We'll see what happens with this line, but it might be smart to stay away rather than get really upset at their defense on Monday. Moving on, next one to Italy. Spezia host Crotone, giving half of a goal. Not much interest there. Parma getting 3/4 of a goal from AC Milan. Parma's in a relegation spat. AC Milan's playing a lot better and are a much better side with much deeper pockets, et cetera, et cetera. Not sure I want to do much unless I caught a full goal on Parma at home. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. I'm not sure I even really want them anyway. Udinese then hosts Torino, giving a quarter of a goal. Almost all the juice on the Torino side. Torino's fighting relegation, played pretty well against Juve last weekend, but ultimately didn't come away with 3 points despite falling behind 1-0, taking a 2-1 lead and giving up a goal to Ronaldo late. They've been playing a lot better, and I think are a side I want to back here. I was hoping to get a full half of a goal from Udinese, and Udinese is going to want to play defense, sit back, and counter, and that means Torino is going to have plenty of opportunities to score. I'm just not sure it's something I want to mess with at that number, especially if it looks like it's trending down towards Pick'em. Inter Milan giving 1 3/4 goals to Cagliari is interesting because they played midweek, but I think I'm done fading Romelu Lukaku because he's incredible. And Inter, despite playing midweek, they're still so strong and so deep and so talented, and look like this next Serie A Scudetto winner. Juve then give a goal and a half to Genoa, and all the juice in the Juve sides look like this might be climbing to 1 3/4. Juve has not been playing well enough to really survive this type of number, to give this to anybody. Genoa haven't been winning a bunch of matches, but I think have found stability under their new manager, and I like them a lot here, and probably will play Genoa based on what I'm seeing at the moment. Sampdoria getting 3/4 of a goal from Napoli at home. Sampdoria is really hard to trust to score, and they like to send everybody forward if they're trailing late. So that makes any sort of goal spread like not even close to what it should be. Napoli did play midweek. Another reason I think to bet against Juve is because they had to play midweek in a tight one against Napoli. But ultimately, Napoli given 3/4, not much for me to do with that one on the road at Sampdoria. Verona getting a quarter of a goal from Lazio is interesting. I think that's a little low, as I would have made Lazio a bigger favorite, but ultimately all the juice is on the Lazio side, and Verona I think has come down to earth as they were playing well above their talent level earlier in the season. Roma giving 3/4 of a goal to Bologna is saying something because Roma had to play midweek, and I think we're fortunate to win in Amsterdam against Ajax. Now they have to go beat a lower tier team in Serie A, which is kind of what Rome is built to do. They haven't had very good performances against the big clubs, but they do beat the inferior ones, or at least they had until a recent poor run. So I guess I have some interest in Bologna with fresher legs. Currently 3/4 of a goal, though I'd really want a +1, and I'm not sure I'll get that, but I'll look into that one as well. Atalanta then give a full goal on the road at Fiorentina, which is a huge amount for them to give and way bigger than I expected. Fiorentina's definitely had problems. They've gotten healthier, though, lately. Scoring problems early in the year have, I think, been fixed a little bit, but this number seems massive, and I got to figure out why, which makes me wonder if COVID has hit the Fiorentina side or something like that, or a bunch of injuries, because that's a huge number for Atalanta to give, even on the road, even how everyone loves them. +1's a great number. As a lot of times that's the ultimate decider or deciding. A lot of teams win by 1 goal, whatever that means. Monday night, Benevento hosts Sassuolo, currently getting a quarter with all the juice in the Sassuolo side, so might climb to a half. I've had a soft spot for Benevento. I think they've been better than they've been priced a lot this season. They've really struggled with the really good sides, but I think I've been better against the mediocre ones. Sassuolo, I think, falls in that category and has been dealing with a ton of COVID issues. We'll see what happens with their team and availability in this one, but they've been missing a lot of players, and I'm interested, especially because Sassuolo had to play midweek, if I'm not mistaken, against Inter. Now we'll move to the Bundesliga, as I want to speed this up as we're already 23 and a half minutes in. Eintracht Frankfurt giving a quarter to Wolfsburg. All the juice on the Wolfsburg side makes sense. I thought this might be Pick'em, and probably it's heading in that direction. Ultimately, Frankfurt's been playing really well and deserves where they are in the table. Had a good win at the end against Dortmund last weekend. Wolfsburg has been playing great defense and scoring when they have had the chances, and I think are also worthy of where they sit in the table. I'm interested in Wolfsburg as I trust their defense, and currently a draw I think suits both of these teams, and I'm not sure that Frankfurt is that much better, especially with no crowd at home, to deserve to give a quarter, but it looks like this one's going to head towards Pick'em. Werder Bremen getting a goal and a quarter from Leipzig at home. Big number, but I don't know how you trust Werder to score. Leipzig has shown that they can kind of bruise their Bundesliga opponents, but ultimately a 1-goal victory for them is probably a likely scenario. So that would make me interested in Werder. I just don't see how they score. And unfortunately, I'm not really wanting to back teams that I will expect to finish the game with no goals. Hertha Berlin getting a quarter from Gladbach. Gladbach has been a disaster. I don't know that coming back from behind after allowing an early goal to Freiburg says much about Gladbach, because I think Freiburg had kind of put them in good positions to score, and Thuram played pretty well, got a little bit fortunate with a deflection, et cetera, et cetera. I'm still very interested in being against Gladbach with Rosa walking away, moving to Dortmund end of the season. He wants to end in a good form or fashion, but it seems like the players don't seem to care, and they're in a fight for Europe. Certainly Champions League looks like it's a little bit too far away from them at the moment. So they still have things to fight for. And on the other side, Hertha Berlin's at the bottom trying to fight out a relegation. So they seem to both teams will care. I think Hertha will care a lot more. And I think this new manager has gotten a lot of credit for really, I think, just stopping the amount of goals that they were allowing. But that's a big deal here because they're getting healthier up front, and that will help them a lot to counterbalance some good defense. Bayern München then give a full goal to Union Berlin. Almost all the juice on the Bayern side. Struggled midweek with PSG, which I think it was to be expected. I'm not sure about Lewandowski's status, but he's important to them up front. Choupo-Moting is not the same. But Union's not going to punish their high line, really. They're going to sit back and try to defend the whole match, and that doesn't really go very well against Bayern normally. So I'm not sure. I'm not interested in them. Even if getting a full goal is interesting, but Union's attacking front line has basically been out for months now, and that's, I think, why they've settled into mid-table. They're happy. They want to just stay in the league. That's their only goal. So they've accomplished that, and we'll see what happens. But ultimately, being safe and being out to the beach makes me a little bit nervous to back anybody right now. We'll see what happens with this line, though, as Bayern money tends to flow in on game or match day. The afternoon on Saturday is Stuttgart hosting Dortmund, getting half of a goal. All the juice on the Dortmund side looks like it's going to climb to 3/4. Makes sense because Stuttgart's offense has been certainly shaky lately. I think it's been Kalajdzic up front, who's, I think, admitted to being really tired. Wamanga Tuca's now got out with a long-term injury, and that's really affected their speed on the wings, as really I think their offense is really limited. Dortmund's very likely to score, as the Stuttgart defense is not great. Dortmund is not exactly the sexiest thing right now, and they certainly are going to have to fight on two fronts for Champions League in the Bundesliga, and then while also fighting for Champions League in the quarterfinals that they're playing. But they have the toughest draw with they do have an away goal, but still have to beat City and shut them out, likely to move on without extra time and all that sort of stuff. So hard to really expect Dortmund, who's going to be trying to, I don't really trust even Tadic or whatever the new manager's name is. I feel like they should have gotten somebody else in who had a clue, and they wouldn't be in this trouble in the league. But they're here, and they have to figure out how to be smart enough to fight on two fronts, and I'm not sure I believe in their coaching staff to do that right now really at all, because they would have fixed something a long time ago. Moving along to Sunday, Schalke getting a quarter from Augsburg at home. It's incredible based on the finances of these two clubs, but Schalke's going down, and Augsburg finally, I think, not going to be in my card this weekend, as I really don't like them, but I think they've been crushing it against the spread and have been getting way too many fractions of goals, or even more than that, in each match over the last month or two. Köln then get a quarter of a goal. All the juices on their side against Mainz, who is now out of the bottom three. Is an incredible run from bottom to now where they sit. Köln now totally in the fight, and I don't know where their goals are going to come from. So I think it makes sense. Mainz doesn't have much of an offense either, so that's a big thing. And I think a goal does suit Mainz now that they're ahead of Köln in this matchup, which makes me think that Köln might push forward a little bit too much lately trying to win this match. But ultimately, I think a point is important to them and getting anything as the relegation playoff spot, where you third to last and not getting automatically eliminated or relegated is a big deal. So I have some interest in Köln, especially because I have doubts about the Mainz offense. It seems to be some pressing up the pitch, and that's about it. And maybe this new Loney Glatzel, but that's really it. Then Monday night, Hoffenheim getting a quarter at home from Leverkusen. Leverkusen playing terribly, just fired their manager, brought a new one in who just went all defensive players essentially, and their offense was pretty weak. Hoffenheim, they've got so many injuries at the back though that I think anybody Leverkusen plays can really puncture them. But ultimately, if you're going by who deserves to be a road favorite, it's certainly not Leverkusen the way they're playing and the way they've been playing. So I have some interest in Hoffenheim, but we'll see if that ends up happening. And then last but not least, move to Ligue 1, which probably has the best title race out there right now. Starting on Saturday, Strasbourg getting 3/4 of a goal from PSG. PSG with a great performance midweek against Bayern Munich, but certainly have their eyes on that match. But they should be paying attention now that they're 6 points behind Lille. Strasbourg, their offense has been questioned, but they, I think, have done a fairly good job of limiting the opponent from scoring. This number seems really small to me, though, so I think I would need at least a +1 from Strasbourg to even consider backing them. Montpellier and Marseille pick 'em. Most of the juice on the Marseille side. I would hope that Montpellier climbs to a quarter of a goal because I know they can score. I'm not sure Marseille can, and I'm not sure that the defenses in that matchup are that strong. Rennes giving a half of a goal to Nantes on Sunday. I think makes sense. Nantes fighting relegation. Rennes is doing a lot better. All the juice on the Rennes side, though, so it looks like that's going to climb to Rennes -3/4, which I think is probably bigger than they deserve to lay, but they've been a lot better this season. Brest giving a half of a goal to Nîmes. Nîmes did not play great last weekend, but have been playing awesome this season ever since changing their managers. Not awesome this season. They're still fighting relegation, but they've made a major trend up the table or push up the table to try to get towards safety. Brest, I don't think has much of an offense to give half of a goal, so that's a big number, and I think I'm interested in Nîmes for sure. Lens giving half of a goal to Lorient. All the juice on Lorient's side, so it might fall to a quarter is about what I made it. Lens playing very well. Lorient trying to fight their way out of relegation, but getting a half would be a nice number there. Maybe it sticks till Sunday. Nice giving a quarter of a goal to Reims, I think makes sense. Nice has been really undervalued in lines lately, though, and this might be them correcting. So it probably should be a little bigger than this even, but not sure I want to back them as a favorite, even though I think their center backs have been playing a lot better ever since they brought in some Loney talent and kind of went with new players, and their attackers getting healthier as well. Certainly helps. Saint-Etienne giving a quarter to Bordeaux makes me interested in Bordeaux, as Saint-Etienne fighting out of the bottom, not playing great, but I think are a little closer to safety than they have been thanks to some wins recently. But Bordeaux has been kind of fluttering around mid-table, which certainly concerns how much they care. But I think that they're better. And so getting a quarter is interesting to me, especially with no fans even on the road. Monaco then probably a huge favorite to Dijon, and I'll leave it there. Lyon then giving a goal and a quarter to Angers. Angers seems like really old. Their manager stepping down, so not someone I want to back right now, even though when they played the first time, it was a really close match that Lyon somehow kind of stole at the end. Lyon not playing great lately. Didn't do well in the Coupe de France midweek. So I'm looking to be against them, especially as they're kind of fading out of the title race and might not even make Champions League based on a big push from Monaco. So that's all for this version of soccer betting today. Thanks for joining again. You can follow me, @thereal_G Warner on Twitter. Any questions, throw them at me there or in the comments here. I'd be happy to reply to anything you got. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.